You're listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with Lyndia Grant.
Well, good evening, Radio 1 listeners. Thank you for tuning in to the Lyndia Grant Show. We are always so happy to be here with you every Friday. Thank you for tuning in. This Friday is September the 25th, I think, or the 26th. But anyway, we're going to have Dr. Julianne Melville talk to us. I watched quite a bit of the Charlie Kirk Memorial Service, and that thing had taken over the world for a minute. But there's so much else going on in politics. And then we're going to have our own second guest, Attorney Dana Stebbins. She said to tell you hello, Dr. J.
And
She's
give her my
on.
best.
She's on once a month, and she's going to be talking to us about the power of positive thinking during these crucial times. So let's go to Dr. Julianne so she can give us some of the highlights of what's been going on over the last week. Dr.
Oh,
J?
hasn't it been a week, Lindy? It's good to be with you.
Yes.
A lot going on. Once we start, of course, with the economy, there's plenty to talk about with politics, and I will. Let's start with the economy and talk about last week. The Fed lowered the interest rate by a quarter of a percentage point. Of course, most economists, myself included, had predicted that it would be between a quarter of a percentage point and half. The president wanted it to go down more, but even his own person, he just appointed Stephen Moran to the Fed, and he is a big Trump ally, and he asked for half a point, but went along with a quarter of a point. So I think most people know the interest rate is dropping, but it's not going to drop as rapidly as the president would like. And there's so many other things really going on. But there is going to be at least one more meeting of the Fed before the end of the year. And everybody's wondering what will happen. Now, the other issue is that Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leads in the Senate and the House, were supposed to meet with the president. He canceled the meeting. He said he didn't see what good it would do to meet. Basically, we're looking at the possibility of a government shutdown, and it's real. Now, but they voted to put off any final decision on the budget until November, but they haven't all voted on it. So I think there's still a couple of votes. We're talking on Tuesday, a couple things up in the air. But the bottom line is this. At some point, the government will shut down if these folks cannot get it together. Democrats want to make sure that health care, Medicare, Medicaid is funded. Republicans just want cuts. And that's how they've been. They just want cuts, and that's pretty much how it is. In any case, the economy, from my perspective and that of most economists, is in a very precarious place. What we're looking at, of course, is inflation rising, unemployment rising, the possibility of a government shutdown, massive federal government cuts, including cuts in employment. And the question is, who gains from this? Who gains when the U.S. economy implodes? And the answer is it's certainly not the United States. We need to look at whether or not our president really, all the bluster that he puts out there, what is he doing about Putin? What is he doing about Ukraine? What is he doing about Israel? Those are the questions that are out there from an economic perspective. I mean, these are political questions also, but they're economic questions. So now, speaking of the political questions, okay, this week, I don't know how many of y'all are Catholic. I was raised Catholic. And when somebody becomes a saint, they canonize them. They do all this stuff to canonize them. Usually they just canonize a young man here. The Catholic Church just can't canonize a young man. He was 18 or 19, but they proved that he had performed miracles. Now, they didn't canonize him the day after he died. It took some time to do this, but Charlie Kirk has been canonized. There are more than 60,000 people in Arizona at a service that was partially appropriately mourning, was also partially political crowing. You have people saying if you say anything negative about Charlie Kirk, they're going to look into you, investigate you, and they've been trying to deal with that. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, has articulated that. It's fascinating. These are the people who don't like cancel culture when it comes from the left, but they're willing to exercise cancel culture from the right. So Jimmy Kimmel, of course, was taken off the air for about a week. He came back on Tuesday. We haven't seen it yet, but we do know he's back, but we don't know under what conditions. They've actually asked that man to make a contribution to the Turning Point Foundation, which is, of course, Charlie Kirk's organization. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just extortion and blackmail. But you know what? That's what this administration has been doing since it came back. Extortion and blackmail with universities giving money, law firms contributing to his library. His library is going to have 6 comics books in it, but they're going to build a building. So basically, the whole Charlie Kirk phenomenon is one that we have to pay attention to, and attention to because so many people are saying they're going to watch what they say now because they're afraid that if they say anything negative about Charlie Kirk, there will be repercussions. There is a report that the Department of Justice created. They've used it periodically. It's a report about um, domestic terrorism, and it talks about there are more homicides from radical Islam from the there are more homicides created by far right extremists than by radical Islamic groups. But of course, they are blaming everything on the far left. They're blaming everything on everything else. So they've taken down the report that talked about domestic terrorism. They've also taken down a report, they won't report it anymore, about hunger. We have a report that comes out almost annually that deals with the number of people in our country who are hungry. They're taking that away too. Basically, what we're dealing with is these people can't stand the truth. And when the truth comes at them, they basically ignorantly try to erase the record. And so they've been doing a lot of that. It's inappropriate, but it's where we are. If we pivot to education, Lyndia, we
Mm-hmm.
see student performance lower than it's been in the last 20 years. Only 35% of our students are proficient in reading, only 22% proficient in math. Most of our students are below basic levels of math, and absenteeism is a big issue right now. Students aren't coming to school. Now, of course, people got into bad habits during COVID, and we know that. So we'll own that. But at the end of the day, some of the monies that would have been used for remediation have been what? Cut by this
Mm-hmm.
administration. So this becomes an issue. And a, it's just a lot. It's a lot when we look at what's happening with our young people and the level of, frankly, ignorance that's being promulgated because there's not enough money to do what needs to be done in many of these schools. Well, on education, Harvard has been placed on what they call heightened cash monitoring by the Department of Education. They must use its own money to do federal financial aid, and then they will be reimbursed by the federal government. Well, we know how that's going to go because basically one of the things that they're looking at is DEI. Should black students, should brown students get any preferential treatment in the awarding of financial aid? But they have changed Harvard, the way that Harvard essentially can spend its money based on Mr. Trump's antipathy toward Harvard. The other thing that we see in the education realm is a taking back over $300 million from HBCUs and MSIs being minority serving institutions, and tribal colleges. About 300, no, $500 million is being redirected. And also, Hispanic serving institutions will also see about a $350 million cut. So we're looking at a tax on education. Meanwhile, Linda McMahon, the wrestling lady, has found money to spend on, what are they calling it? Patriotic education. Patriotic education. So they want to essentially teach people how to be patriots, which, that's a curriculum that will be tainted. But that's where they're going right now. Lydia, cue me down if I'm going too long.
You only have one more minute. You can feel it. That's why you ask.
Huh? Yeah, I
You
was
can
feeling
always feel it. You can tell you're there.
exactly. I'm like, okay, am I running out of time? But anyway, I think this week, the last thing I would say, it's Friday. This week, the Congressional Black Caucus is in town at the Walter Washington Convention Center and other places. It will be a high security event, and people know that, and so just deal with it. I don't know if Vice President Harris will be joining us. That they're keeping all of her appearances very hush hush. But what we should say about her is her book will be out next week, the 107 Days book. It's getting mixed reviews. She's throwing people under the bus left and right. Something she didn't do when she was running for office. If she had done a little more of that, she might be president. But in any case, the book is 107 Days. It'll be out early October, and it is getting mixed but fascinated reviews.
All
That's
right.
it for me today, Lyndia.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Of
Julian. It was great. I haven't been watching too much news, so thank you for catching us up.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
All right, we're going to our commercial break, and we'll be back in a moment.
If it wasn't for my care coach at AmeriHealth, I probably wouldn't be so healthy right now. As a man, we don't get checkups or see a doctor regularly anyways. It's probably just a man thing because none of my partners go either. We know we should, but we just don't, and hope it works out.
So what changed for you?
AmeriHealth assigned me a care coach, somebody that gives one-on-one help, answer questions, explain things, and help set my appointments. She also helped me understand what having high blood pressure really means and ways to manage it so it doesn't kill me. It ain't nothing to play with. If you're a member of AmeriHealth, ask for a care coach. I'm glad I got mine.
At AmeriHealth, if you need a care coach, you can have one. Just call us at 1-877-759-6224 to get connected. 1-877-759-6224. This program is funded in part by the government of the District of Columbia Department of Healthcare Finance. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Washington and former religion columnist Lyndia Grant.
Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a segregated Montgomery bus. In lectures on brotherhood, Ms. Parks often said, "People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired. But that wasn't true. I was not tired physically. I was not old. I was 42. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in." Driven out of Montgomery by harassment and death threats, Detroit, Michigan became her new home. Rosa Parks will always be remembered as the mother of the civil rights movement. Raised in the AME church, she once said, "I remember finding such comfort and peace while reading the Bible."
Read more in the religion column of the Washington Informer, an award-winning African-American newspaper. We don't report crime or gossip, just positive news. Pick up the Washington Informer or visit us online at washingtoninformer.com. Call 202-561-4100 for more information.
This is Frank Smith with the African American Civil War Museum in Washington, D.C., located at 1925 Vermont Avenue Northwest on the Green Line. Did you know that a recent study found that children who visit museums do better in school and in life than children who do not? So parents, teachers, and preachers, let's get moving. I promise you, if you bring your children to the African American Civil War Museum, they will be inspired by the images that they see. They will be impressed by our living history reenactors who are always available, and they will be involved in our scavenger hunt that takes them throughout our exhibit. That's the African American Civil War Museum, 1925 Vermont Avenue. Our hours are 10 to 6:30 on weekdays, 12 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. See it. Be inspired.
Well, good evening, Radio 1 listeners. It is Friday, and we are back. You're listening to the Lyndia Grant Show here on Radio 1, 1340 WYCB. I'm talking to my second guest now, Attorney Dana Stebbins. She is with the Cornelius Group. She's the CEO there, and she keeps her ship running. And I love the fact that I've known her more than 40 years, and she has, like Kamala Harris, she was telling us before this happened. She told us. She told us, she told us, she told us. I'm not saying you, the listeners, had anything to do with it, but some of our children did, because including mine. Dana, let's go to the first question today. Dana, why are you calling these dark times? These are indeed dark times, but tell us where you are with that.
Oh, hello again, Lyndia, and hi to your listeners.
Okay.
There's no other way to describe this other than dark times.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been reading a lot lately about how other democracies fail, how they lose the democracy in countries like Turkey and Hungary, and we are following that path. They
Mm-hmm.
used to be democracies, they're no longer. So all the most recent events in the US point out why these are dark times. Started out when Trump decided to pardon 1,500 criminals who supported him at that takeover of the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
Then he fired all the independent agency watchdogs without due process. Then he purged the apolitical, meaning the non-political police and military brass, leaving all the political ones. He's ignoring all the laws, and he unilaterally deleted federal programs, whole organizations that were created by Congress. Most recently, he just called his predecessor, President Biden's pardons, void and vacated them. He gave a bitterly partisan speech at the Department of Justice demanding the prosecution of the media and his political adversaries. He threatened many universities with sanctions. He withheld funding from them. He invoked a 227-year-old war law that allowed him to deport accused gang members without due process and others based on the color of their skin or the language they spoke. And most importantly, he is ignoring the court's decisions even when the court rules against him. This is a rapid pace towards the eradication of our democracy. So I want to introduce a brand new term for your listeners this
Mm-hmm.
week.
Mm-hmm.
It's called electoral autocracy. We talked about autocracy, totalitarianism. We talked about all that. This is a new term for you all to think about. In an electoral autocracy, you can vote, you can protest, you can criticize the government, but it comes at a price. The price is the fear of retaliation, the fear of losing your job, of losing public funding or a contract. Over time, fear takes hold, and people, including media owners, start to self censor themselves and stop being free press and free people. And we just saw that with what happened with Disney when they canceled Jimmy Kimmel's show because of some comments he made.
Mm-hmm.
That's a dark place for us to be, India.
It is, but at least they came around, thank the Lord, probably because they were losing so much money. But Dana,
Yes,
before I go to the
exactly.
next question, you said the president canceled Biden's pardons. I didn't know that you could do
Yes,
that.
he
How
did.
can you?
No, you can't. You can't. But he did it anyway.
But that
So,
doesn't mean that's true though, because the
well,
people he
what it means
pardoned.
is he would take action as against these people as if they hadn't been pardoned. So, for example, he all of the people who bought to Biden pardoned, some of whom were, protesters and others, now are under fear that they will be prosecuted for the crimes they were pardoned for. And he pardoned people in anticipation that Trump would try to do this. So he pardoned Pamela Harris, he pardoned Letitia James, the
Oh
prosecutor in
yeah,
New
because
York.
he's still after
Remember?
Letitia James. I
And they're
forgot about
going
that.
after her. That's correct. And they're going to go after Kamala Harris as well. They're going to go after all of those people that he gave proactive pardons to because he's rescinded them.
Mm-mm-mm-mm. All right.
Mhm.
Well, I'm glad I asked that question because we needed to hear that answer because that's crazy. The next question is, what has happened to further threaten our democracy since we last talked a week ago, a month ago, a few weeks ago?
Okay. All right. Well, I just mentioned some of the things that happened. But now, if you look, he has taken over the health of the United States citizens by issuing unfounded, biased, and false health warnings in various areas. He's restricted the COVID vaccine to only a certain people. He just announced yesterday that pregnant women should not take Tylenol because their children would have autism.
Mm-hmm.
He has reached into places that no president has ever reached into before, so that you have to worry constantly about if you're walking to your job and your skin is brown or you don't speak English, that someone will take you off the streets, lock you up, and your family will have no idea where you are. He tried to open a concentration camp, remember, in Florida. And
Mm-hmm.
the only reason he didn't get to do that is because the Native Americans in there used the environmental hazard as a reason, but he's moving that now to another place. He's determined to have a concentration camp in the United States where he can lock up 10,000 a day people who he believes do not belong in the United States.
Wow.
All of that is going to be done without announcing it.
Mm-hmm.
He's now offering people $50,000 to join ICE. If you sign up to join ICE and help deport these immigrants, you will get a $50,000 signing bonus. That's more than most of these people will have made in a year, Lyndia.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Those are just some of the things he's done since we
So
last
you
talked.
know he gonna get a bunch of people going running over there.
Of course he
Wow.
is untrained, biased, just in it for the money, do what they're
And
told,
wearing
don't trust.
those masks, hiding their faces. It's a
Yes,
mess.
yes,
It's
exactly.
like Ku Klux Klan in the daylight.
Yep,
Okay,
there you
then
go.
the last question is, what are the benefits of positive thinking that we
Yeah,
can
okay.
all benefit from?
Yeah, and
How's that
I
gonna
wanted
help
to
us?
talk about the power of positive thinking because everything we talk about is so depressing and so downtrodden in the way we think about things that we have to find a way to survive this, and we have to have our mental health. One of the ways is by protesting, and everybody isn't going to do it. But there have been massive protests lately against everything he's done,
Mhm.
against in support of the No Kings Act, saying he's not a king, and they protested the COVID stuff. So, but everyone is not able to do that, even though large and peaceful protests usually back other people up. The legislators think about that. Advertisers, like that's why Disney backed away because of the protests that were outside of Disney and the cancellation of the subscriptions. But what I want to talk about is for those of us who are not going out there to protest, how can we keep positive thinking and why should we? First reason is because it helps you manage your stress better. Positive thinking helps cope with stress more effectively. It lowers the risk of depression. A positive mindset can reduce the likelihood of experiencing depression. And then, believe it or not, it gives you a stronger immune system. Positive thinkers are often more resistant to illness. You have decreased risk of heart disease because maintaining a positive outlook can lead to better heart health. And one we should know about as people of color, especially African Americans, it will lower your blood pressure. Positive thinking is associated with lower blood pressure levels. Then on the good side, it improves your problem solving skills because a positive attitude enhances your ability to tackle challenges because you don't go into it thinking, I'm not going to be able to do this. No way I'll survive this. You go into it with a positive attitude. It helps you adapt because positive thinkers are more flexible. And so if you wake up one day and you find out your favorite store is no longer available to you because for some reason it's closed, if you have a positive attitude and you think positively, you just adapt, you adjust. Okay, where else can I go? You don't end up staying in your house saying, oh my God, I can't go to the store. Then you enhance your creativity. A positive mindset fosters creative thinking. And as long as you can engage in creative thinking, you can survive these hurdles that are thrown at you in life. It's only when you start feeling like I can't make it, I don't know where to go. And then last, it helps you have better relationships. When you are a positive thinker and you're surrounded all the time by naysayers and negative thinkers, you sometimes choose to walk away from those kind of people and you walk into people who think like you think. You have relationships that are based on positive thinking and positive action. And I want your listeners to hold on to those tips because there isn't very much else we can do other than hold on to our mental health and our positivity.
Amen. And this is a Christian station. You just got to keep right on praying too. And you
Yes.
know, for you all, based on what she was just saying, go to YouTube. There are a whole lot of motivational thinkers on there, speakers. One of my biggest ones that I've lived by for 40 some years is Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill, and I say him because he studied the scriptures 3 hours early every morning and 3 hours at night, and his principles to success are based on scripture. If you haven't ever heard of him, write it down. He wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich, but he's not talking about money. He's talking about the way you live your life. All right, thank you, Dana. You brought up my kind of subject, thinking positive. That's what I do. I
Thank
speak.
you.
I'm a speaker who travel around the world helping people to think positive.
Yes. And I remind you one last time, tell everybody to make ready to vote. Get ready to vote.
Get ready.
Get
That's
ready to
right. Get
try to
ready.
be the change you want to see.
There
Make the
you go.
change.
You be the change. That's right. All right. Thank you for tuning in to the Lyndia Grant Show. You heard it from Dana Stebbins. She's here with us every month, and we're so excited. We're going to be back again next week. That concludes our show. Good day.